In this lecture, I'll examine some of the key driving forces behind the growing global phenomenon of EMI. There's a number of reasons behind the drive towards EMI around the globe. In some contexts, EMI is related to the lack of educational materials in certain languages. In others, English is seen as a neutral language. Galloway et al. Identify a number of key driving forces behind the movement towards EMI. Firstly, EMI is closely related to the overall movement to internationalise higher education, as I've already noted. Offering EMI is viewed as a way to gain access to cutting-edge knowledge and contribute to a brain gain. It can help attract international students and faculty, thus raising the international profile and the research profile of an institution. It can help universities move up domestic and international rankings, help with publicity, and also attract students and staff. EMI provision can also help universities secure funding. It also aids the internationalisation of curricula by fostering international partnerships through exchange programmes, degree conferring programmes, and initiatives like faculty exchanges. In short, EMI helps institutions compete globally, increasing both their global visibility in domestic and international rankings. The Chinese Ministry of Education, for example, as I've noted, rates those universities offering 10% of all courses in English as being excellent and those offering few or none as poor. Funding from the 1999 to 2012 Brain Korea 21 project in South Korea also aimed to develop 10 world-class research-orientated universities and used a percentage of EMI courses to assess the degree of internationalisation. By removing language barriers, EMI programmes can also be a useful way of generating income and can compensate for shortages at the domestic level in some contexts, particularly in places where domestic enrolment is decreasing. They open up new sources of revenue, improving the income base through tuition fees from international student recruitment. Some institutions also charge domestic students higher fees to enrol in EMI programmes. In places like Japan, in addition to increasing global competitiveness and raising the university's profile, both domestically and internationally, a string of government policies have been implemented to attract international students amidst an ageing population and dwindling domestic student numbers. Japan's Global 30 project, launched in 2009 and backed by funding of up to 400 million yen per year for 5 years, had the aim of establishing EMI programs in 30 top universities, as well as attracting 300,000 international students to Japan by 2020. When funding froze in 2014, only 13 universities had participated in the programme. This was then succeeded by the Go Global Japan project, covering 2012 to 2016, and financing the development of international education in 42 universities, with the aim of fostering an outward-looking global perspective amongst its student body. Finally, the Top Global University project in Japan commenced in 2014, with 37 universities selected for funding. Its purpose was to enhance the international compatibility and competitiveness of higher education in Japan, as well as lead the internationalisation of Japanese society. Such a string of highly funded policies have aimed to increase Japan's universities' global presence and attract international students. EMI also provides opportunities for student and faculty mobility. Such mobility can help attract talented students who may stay on to become researchers and/or faculty in their respective higher education institutions, thus contributing to this brain gain and raising the research profile of the university. They can also, as I mentioned, generate income through tuition fees. EMI has been adopted by many universities to enhance the employability of their graduates in both domestic and global job markets. It can help foster intercultural competence through mixing with students from different countries and therefore enrich their learning. Today, such competencies are seen to be attractive for the increasingly internationalised labour market. With globalisation and the global spread of the English language, many governments see a need for the education of an international population, and knowledge of a subject area in one's own language is often seen to be insufficient. The growth in EMI is also related to the increased desire to improve the English proficiency of a country's citizens. English has become a language of prestige. EMI policies are related to government's objectives to develop national human capital that can speak English. As Spolsky points out, English as a global language is now a factor that needs to be taken into account in its language policy by any nation-state. And many nations see English skills as being an indispensable competency and a key to their modernisation and global competitiveness. For example, in Japan, the Japan Business Federation, Keidanren, is placing increasing pressure on the Ministry of Education to improve the quality of English education to reflect what they call changes in society. This has led to an increased emphasis in Japan on communicative teaching methods and on teaching in English. Developments in English language teaching towards more communicative and student-centred models have also been very influential in the EMI movement. In East Asia, for example, for years the preferred method of language instruction was grammar translation, which entailed having a student directly translate sentences from his or her own first language into the target language. Although this method continues to be widely used, communicative language teaching, known as CLT, has gained considerable ground around the globe. CLT, the focus on communication, has led to an increased focus on teaching in English and exposing students to as much authentic English as possible. This has contributed to content-based approaches in English language classrooms around the world, seen as being an important way to provide students with authentic target language input. However, it's important to note that despite EMI being linked to the government's desire to improve the English proficiency of its citizens, and also being one of the key motivating factors behind student enrolment, which I found in my own research, there remains to be very little research actually measuring the effectiveness of EMI in meeting these goals. To conclude Lecture 4 then, there are a number of reasons behind the drive towards EMI around the globe. It's closely related to the overall movement to internationalise higher education. It can be a way to access cutting-edge knowledge and contribute to a brain gain, attract international students and faculty, generate revenue, raise the international and the domestic profile of an institution, helping them move up rankings. EMI can provide opportunities for student and faculty mobility, enhance the employability of their graduates in both domestic and global markets, foster intercultural competence, and many universities and governments also see it as a way to improve students' English proficiency. Developments in English language teaching towards more communicative and student-centred models have also been influential in the EMI movement. However, as noted, despite not having a language learning objective, EMI is problematically linked to some government's desire to improve the English proficiency of its citizens. This is problematic given the little research measuring the effectiveness of EMI in meeting these goals. Thank you very much for watching Lecture 4. In Lecture 5, we'll move on to look at approaches to EMI.